Hello, fellow Rebel Capitalist Substack subscribers. Hope you guys are doing well. Super excited to dive in, go over the weekly wrap up. We got a lot to talk about. First and foremost, let me do a screen share and we're going to go over to the trusted calendar with Market Watch. And we were, at least looking at this through the lens of the Fed, expecting the labor market to continue to deteriorate. But what we saw on Thursday is initial jobless claims go down to 218. This is definitely a surprise to me, at least. And then we had third quarter GDP. The estimates were revised up to 3.8 from 3.3. Now, I think you have to ask the question, are these numbers real? Or is someone just trying to make sure that Trump doesn't fire them? I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying that the numbers were always great prior to Trump, but I think there's more pressure, let's say, on the individuals who are creating these numbers to make sure the numbers look as good as possible so they don't get fired. Whether you love Trump, hate him, I just think it is what it is, right? That's the word. That's the world we are living in. But this definitely pumps the brakes on the labor market, or at least what I thought was an extreme deterioration of the labor market. Now, we have some anecdotal evidence to suggest that the economy is still suffering or still slowing down, by the best word. And therefore, next week, when we get the next round of JOLTS numbers, ADP numbers, and the non-farm payroll report, the household survey, we're going to see a continued deterioration and the initial claims here, and the GDP is kind of, let's just say, an outlier, but it's definitely something we got to pay attention to. Absolutely. And we saw interest rates really go up, a kind of spike as a result, and then they kind of digested it and came back in. But when you look at or came back down. So when you look at a 5-day chart, here's the 10-year. This is the big spike that you saw as soon as the numbers came out with the initial claims. And then we'll go to the 2-year. You're going to see same type of action. If we zoom out to a 5-day chart, boom, right there. And so what's the next move going to be? Well, obviously it depends. If we have, now let's fast forward to next week, where if we have the JOLTS numbers really disappoint, we have ADP disappoint, and look for the expectations for the non-farm only at 45,000. Even if it hits it, I think you're going to see, like, even if it's in line with expectations, I think you're going to see interest rates go down quite substantially. Probably a bull steepener. If it exceeds expectations, you probably get a flattener. I would assume you get a bear flattener, meaning that interest rates are going up slightly, more so at the front end of the curve. But this is, I mean, I think the way I'm looking at this next week is the JOLTS numbers and the ADP probably going to really reflect what's going to happen in initial claims and the non-farm payrolls. Although it is really weird that you see this divergence between the initial claims and what we're seeing in the report from the BLS. I don't know why that would happen. And let's go back to some of the other videos I've done on this subject. It's very difficult to find a time when you had negative non-farm payrolls when you weren't in or around a recession.